Our second slot album review today is Malevolence and Malicious Intent. This is the third studio album from the Sheffield band who, near the start of the 2010s, with their debut album Reign of Suffering, stormed onto the radars of heavy music fans in this country, quickly established themselves as a firm favourite. Only, I think it's fair to say, then plateau in terms of their popularity and success. Doesn't really seem to have had anything to do with the quality of their music. I don't know about you guys, but I think that the second record, Self Supremacy, is like totally on the level of quality that you would have been expecting from the first one. But whether it is gaps between albums, where this is only number 3 for how long they've been around now, whether it is just a lack of push from the wider industry, Malevolence became a great band who sat in an expected place rather than one exponentially rising in the way that we hoped when they first turned up. That was until the 2020s hit, when through a combination of the Other Side EP containing the largest leaps in their music and a storming live campaign once touring and festival bills returned here, saw Malevolence became quickly one of the most talked about bands across every one of them, with Download Pilot, Bloodstock. They've just toured arenas with Architects and seemingly smashed that too.
I didn't see them. My mate sent me a video of them.
I saw a video,
one of the biggest circle pits you're going to see at 7 p.m. in Ali Pali. Like, looked insane.
Yeah, we have said like on a bunch of occasions how the increase in momentum that Malevolence have had during the pandemic is the stuff of envy for others, and just in time to capitalise on it, we have album number 3. Now, for as much as that is true, and for as much as the last release we got from them did have some notable developments, I'm not sure how much of a musical step up I could realistically expect from this, because Malevolence have always been fucking great, and they've always had like a really strong identity of their own. It was just a case of getting people to wake up to that. Did you have any grand aspirations for what Malicious Intent could be musically in comparison to previous albums?
Well, no, because again, I agree with you. I think those last 2 albums are brilliant. They are insanely talented musicians. They write the best beatdowns. Like, they do all the things I love about metal, and like, I just wanted to kind of like more of that, I guess, and maybe building on some of the elements they kind of started to touch upon on the Other Side. Bit more of that, and that's all I really wanted.
Yeah, no, I think I like Reign of Suffering and Self Supremacy. They're both ace. But I was never like particularly invested in Malevolence, which I feel foolish about because they're from Sheffield and nothing good comes from Sheffield really. So I should pay more attention really. Something good must have come. Def Leppard. No,
I mean, lots of other metal bands from their generation. To be fair.
Yeah, that is true actually. Yeah, and me kind of. Nah.
The filming of Kill List.
Yeah, the filming of Kill List, Meadow Hall, the shopping centre. But yeah, because I was going to ask you, Sam, like, is there like do you see is it any kind of like, what do you see that they've built on, or is it like just more of the same for you? And is that enough for you?
I think the songwriting has improved. Like, there are choruses that are better than they've ever been. Conan, the guitarist who does the like melodic vocals, but does that like big, deep like croon and stuff like that. His presence has increased so much across like since the EP and this record. They couldn't write ballads like they did before. When you get a higher place, like you had the Other Side on that EP, and then higher place on this, like they couldn't do that on the first 2 records. There is legitimate growth in the songwriting, but at its core, it is still Malevolence what they do, which is just fucking amazing metal.
Yeah, well, the
simple
fact
as that
it opens with a 1:40 title track where we get the record's like first daft drop part in about a minute, like, is the kind of no holds barred statement of gratuitous intent that I kind of live for. I think the sounds that make up their identity have always been so individual, and it stops them blurring too kind of unassumingly into any one of them, where they have, you know, the most ignorant, like, arm-swinging, thuggish hardcore with mosh calls galore, which people love, and, you know, on a primal level sometimes, people like that, even if the band has nothing to them and little real ability. But with Malevolence, before it can get too sluggish and kind of, incapable of any dexterity. You've got Life Sentence here with that kind of like really accomplished buzzy metal fretwork on Broken Glass's opening riff, and how it like gradually ramps up from that intro before
that
finally
bounce
crunching
drops,
gear.
like, yeah.
Mate, when was the last time bands kind of on a similar tier to them channeled that amount of Cowboys from Hell shit-eating grin swagger?
Like, well, this is the thing that I think has always separated Malevolence from so many other bands in like the hardcore scene is that it is that Pantera just like massive fucking grooves, like all of the melodic guitar playing. It just, none of their peers have got anything approaching that on the level of like guitar playing. Like, this is a proper at points Guitar Hero record, but I could just switch on the dime to being the most thuggish swing your fist beat down hardcore record, and I love both those things, and they're just, Malevolence have just always done it, but again, they're doing it better this time.
Yeah, man, it is a Pantera like Lamb of God groove thing. It's also like, I love the kind of like bluesy like Nola riffing that they have going on, and like again like the beat downs that you're talking about that just sound like you've been punched in the anus, and then like the title track, like straight away with that Rise from Ashes, Born to Land on My Feet, Let the World Throw What It Wants of Me. Like, oh sorry, Jamie Jasta can't come to the phone right now. He shit himself. Like it's so Larry that, like, as soon as that came in, I was sold for the rest of it. Like, it's so like just like life affirmingly, like just chest beating, like
I'll be honest,
it.
I hit play on this record and I am smiling until it ends. I love this album. I mean, this album does everything for me. Like, when you, like, say in Life Sentence, you've got the like, this is my life sentence, guilty as charged. Like all of those like mosh calls that are all over the place. Like, you can't afford to slip when you walk on broken glass. Like, it is just the hardest sounding thing, but it's so fun. It's so charged with energy. This is the sort of album that I think puts a lot of other metal bands to shame at this point. That they are not doing stuff like I love Lamb of God. There is not a single song on the last Lamb of God album that compares to anything on this record for me. Like, I think Malevolence have just stepped up to put like the bigger bands to shame on this record.
Well, I think just when we look at I guess when you think of bands with Pantera influence in the last 20 years or whatever, I think a lot of it is more basic than what Malevolence do, and I really love that Malevolence are actually inventive in kind of what they're choosing to play in the way that, you would hope from someone who's studying what Dimebag does. Like, the last 10 seconds of On Broken Glass, like, the amount of different spins and kicks you are getting in that riff from different directions, but also at the same time, before it can get too shreddy and too just, guitar center with no sense of soul, you have that Louisiana stoner swing like Stillwater's Run Deep, with the crispness and fatness of a modern metal guitar tone, but all of that is in there. And on that soul, when what you say about being huge set up in the songwriting and stuff, I honestly, in the metal songs, I don't hear a great deal that's much better than it was on Reign of Suffering. Like, that has just been there all the time. Like, the leap comes more in, when Malevolence did The Other Side, it was the most, a kind of a ballad type song from a band like them, the most that it's galvanized people in so long, which is not a guarantee with the kind of music that they play and the fan base that they have. And I think back to when Lamb of God did Overlord, and it's a solid track, but the amount of clean vocals that they got, and that's a band who are surely like one of the roadmaps of like how you do this for a band like Malevolence. They didn't get any of that with that song, so why not go forward with it? And, I have always really been into the melodic vocal in Malevolence anyway, for rather than, UK metalcore singer, its primarily influence seems to be, now, fuck you, crowbar, sludge, boom.
It's one of those just distinct characteristics that Malevolence have had, where they don't have the nice, clean vocal. They've got this big, booming, just, feel me poison just to feel alive.
And it sounds bigger, and it doesn't sound thin and fucking weedy, like
so hefty.
It's like you're playing a record on the wrong speed.
I mean, the fact that Conan, too perfect. I was never sure if I'd just made that up. Like, his name's Conan and he sounds like that. But they are huge melodies that lift songs like they should, but they sound every bit as heavy and monstrous as everything else. Where some of the choruses, like Salvation and On Broken Glass, sounds like it could be Howard Jones, but like if he was a stone giant from a fucking Souls game or something. But then you also have Higher Place, which is the clear successor song to the other side, which is the sort of factor they have tried to push in the last couple of years in their music. And it's excellent. And, you know, Crowbar, again, their biggest song is Planets Collide, which is famed for making bearded men cry. So why not take that on board?
Like, I never thought I'd be able to say there is, like, beauty and there is, like, pretty guitar lines in a Malevolence song. But
yeah, band with that merch.
and, like, Conan, like, going into more of a croon, like, a really soulful croon on that, it works so well. And those guitar melodies are, like, genuine. Like, I was like, that is emotional. That is hitting me in just the feels. And when you get the You See Me Fall from Grace Brit and, like, the guitar solo that is, like, legitimately epic. It's just... like they have so shown that they can write more than just the aggro, like, party loving groove metal hardcore.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I kind of I'd not listened to them in a bit. I just forgot that there's so much more than just like the like thug like assault of it, like on something like Do or Die, that kind of like nimble, like thrashy, razor sharp guitar work on that. That sounds like something from like Bleed from Within or something. Like it's really like kind of maybe I just kind of forgot, but they got the fucking chops for it. It's so cool.
It's really dexterous guitar playing where they can flip between these like big grooves and they're like, really like bouncy, like spidery up and down the fretboard kind of like solo playing, and then just lock into just like and now beat down time, and they'll do the thing where they bring the riff back slower, and they do all the tricks. Like there is so many just like things that, and any album could do that. It just makes me go, yep, this is what I want to hear. Pick scrapes on the beat down, like everything's just crammed in there, but it's just, it jumps between so many different things across the whole record that it's just like, yeah, keep it coming.
I mean, Higher Place, Karma comes out after that and made me nearly choke on my coffee. Just the really like super tight picking onslaught in those kind of songs. It doesn't let up, and it's Charlie, the drummer, right? Who's like just bruising as hell and kind of switching into blasts, bouncing along those grooves. They're just a really good metal band who the command of the fundamentals of being a big riffing 21st century metal band. They've got a command of that is evident and second to second in the kind of transitions and control and stuff like that, where you want your main stage metal festival circle pits that we have seen in the last year from Malevolence and from Bleed From Within. You've got Do or Die, and above all else, there's one little bit where, for what sounds like a bar or something at the end of Still Waters Run Deep, the guitar tone just goes well Swedish Death. You've got your t-shirt slogans where the one for me is "So let the hammer swing."
Let the hammer swing.
That fucking rules. Matt Heafy's here as well again. Although personally, if I had a modern metal legend like Matt on my song and the boost that I can give a band, I would make him a bit more audible and obvious. But good song.
It's kind of what he does though, because he did it with Bleed From Within, where he just came on and just did a solo on one of their songs. Like I think like the solo on that sounds more like Matt Heafy. So I wonder if he's
okay. Maybe I was looking for him vocally and he's not there.
I don't know, mate. I just, because I remember when Bleed From Within was like, we've got Matt Heafy on the song, and he just turns up and cranks out a guitar solo. I was like, have they done a similar thing? But it's still just like cool to have him here. You've got that Even Mountains Are Eroded by Rain hook on that song again. Like, there's other things that even Above All Else has a kind of like slightly grungy start to it, which again is a slightly different touch that they haven't brought before. It just feels like this is, again, like the core for Malevolence has always been brilliant. There's more confidence in their songwriting. And I think they're taking it more seriously now as well. Whereas before they were happy to kind of just be like a bit of a t-shirt band who would like make loads of money on their merch and just churn out an album every couple of years that the fans would like. Here it feels like the ambition is now they want to be a big metal band, and I think that is what separates this from the first two.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Like I think I'm going to be listening to this. This is going to be like my summer album, I think. Just like stomping around the shops with this on, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, my hope is that it's basically just time and place that pays off for them, because beyond putting in another melodic ballad that is very good, I don't think this is really any better than their other two records. Like, this isn't a massive step up into the big leagues. Like, they nailed what their core sound was about back in 2013. They just needed, like, a bit of support and some opportunities. This record's good, just like their other ones have been. Hopefully the fact that people seem to be generally hyped about them right now just means that it does some business for them.
I mean, like I said, I love the first two records. Like, I think they are brilliant, but this is just the one where it feels like this has to be the time place where I think they're writing for more than just, I don't know, like the sweaty moshers at the hardcore show now. That there is more bits that the more casual fan can grasp onto, and I think that combined with the shows they've been playing, it feels like this has to be the right moment for them for everyone to kind of go, oh, Malevolence have been one of the best metal bands for the last 10 years.